You're watching the Videobob Show.
Come on!
Hi, I'm Gene Simmons. You're not. And you're watching, what else? Videobob. Get out.
I'm Alice Cooper, and I'm watching Videobob.
Hey everybody, this is Rob Alford, the metal god from Judas Priest, and you are watching Videobob. Oh yeah!
Hey, this is Michael Anthony, and you're watching the Videobob Show. Watch it.
Hi, you're watching Video Bob because you'd like me to. This is Rick Nielsen from Cheap Trick.
Got Don back Daryl hanging out with Video Bob. Number one, watch it go. Video.
And I'm here with Bobby. Never stop, never surrender.
Hello, this is Weird Al Yankovic, and you're watching Video Bob. Aren't you?
Hi, I'm Hippie James, and you're watching the Videobob Show.
Bob, you're an idiot.
Here I am. It's 5 o'clock my time. It's pretty late. I don't know. Actually, I got up about 11 or 12, something like that. But been busy, actually. Hippie actually came to work today and was doing some stuff around the house. He doesn't normally work on a Sunday, but he was. And yeah, you know, we were both kind of getting over some kind of crud. And actually, I took advantage of the coolness of the night to work late into the morning. I didn't go to bed till about, I don't know, 4 or 5, something like that. So anyway, here I am doing my obligatory show. I always think of different things that I want to talk about, but then I'll forget about them by the time I want to do the show. It's like I need to take a notepad and write them down. Just different things. I have to try to carefully, you know, not talk about certain subjects that I love to talk about because they're, you know, political and controversial, not socially acceptable. But yeah, I've been doing a lot of the, third shift, as they say, just because there's so many things that I need to do outside, and you just can't do anything outside when it's, you know, if the temperature is 111 or 112 for a period of days, the cement, just everything heats up, and it gets exponentially hotter than that. And then when you go inside of a building, like, you know, I want to work on that black trailer, forget it, trying to work on that thing. So the heat has just been over the top, and we were expecting rain potentially. I saw some reports that we may get rain. And what happens in Vegas when it does rain, you get like this monsoon where you get flooding. So I told Hippie, I said, we need to prepare for that. And there's a lot of things that have been just sitting outside that need to be covered up or moved that are going to get washed away, because what happens is you'll literally get flooding. And it might only last 10 or 20 minutes, but water's powerful, you know. It can wash away a wall pretty quick. So that's what we were doing today. And just hanging out, chatting, just doing some chit-and-chatting. There's John Bowman, one of our supporters. How you doing? I've been doing some stuff on the bus, getting ready. I got a lot to do this week. I have a DeLorean gig to do, Mandalay Bay for, I'm trying to think of the name of this convention coming up, but it's going to be at Mandalay Bay. The DeLorean will be there. And the trick is that I got to get the DeLorean out of there Saturday evening. And then I got a gig to do Saturday evening at the neighborhood bar. I've been in the studio. I'm going to get rid of some particular equipment and replace it with some other stuff. So if there's anybody in Vegas that uses guitar amps and things, I'm going to be listing some really good stuff. I see the Irish Gypsy tuning in. Kevin Bennett, our graphics guy. Are you coming this year, Kevin? I'm starting to get the schedule set. I didn't want to send out the invites until I had everything together, because I hate having to send supplements, you know, so I wanted to try to get everything covered in the first email. But the bottom line is, for the people that are coming to Vegas for the end of August party, the Bob Fest, as we've called it, you're going to want to start booking. It's hard to, I mean, what is it? It's the middle of July. So, 4 to 6 weeks is a good time to plan. But you've known about it like damn near all year long. So I'll be sending out the invites on our Patreon. So for those of you who don't know, if you're one of the members of our Patreon, which you can go to Patreon and go to Video Bob and you can join. So for our upper echelon members, the people that get their names on the screen, so basically the $5 and up members, will get VIP invites to the party here. So the show that we're going to do Friday night at the dive bar, that's open to the public, anybody can go. Then we're going to have a party here at the house. So yeah, you'll be able to come to my house. I'm having a barbecue at my house for my fans for my birthday. That's what's happening. So yeah, it's like Wayne Stock. It's like every other thing that's complete bullshit. So basically, you're going to make your own way here. You can drive, you can fly, you could take a bus. So then you can get yourself a resort. Now, I've talked about this before. I live on, Vegas is only 25 miles wide. God forbid you got to take a $40 Uber. You know what I mean? So, but if you wanted to be close to my house area, you could stay at any of the resorts that are on Boulder Highway, which Boulder Highway itself is sketchy, but the resorts on Boulder Highway are fine. Like Sam's Town is really cool. Sam's Town is really cool. I recommend it. Sunset Station in Henderson, just down the street from my house. It's really cool. Movie theaters, gambling, entertainment, tons of food. It's right across the street from a mall. There's, Walmart. There's everything you want right there nearby if you're like driving in, right? And it's just down the street from my house. Now, if you can't afford the resorts, there's plenty of just regular hotels here. You can get like a Motel 6, Hampton Inn, whatever. Oh yeah, Tuscany. Tuscany's where we're playing in a couple of weeks. We'll be playing at the Copa Room at Tuscany. Tuscany's a really nice place. It's off the strip. Dude, Tuscany during the day, they have like $1.50 hot dogs. Why do I have hiccups all of a sudden? What the fuck? I'll tell you one of my best. It's not necessarily close. Why do I have hiccups all of a sudden? But the South Point Casino. It's way down at the end of the strip, but I think it's a great bargain. So that's a good place. Let's see. Brian Shields, there you go. He wants me to get Gene Simmons to give you a shout out. Well, that's just not possible. Brian, pretend your name is Bob.
Bob, you're an idiot.
There's your shout out. There you go. People think that, like I can just call Gene and get him to do things. I do have his email and he will respond to it, but no, I don't ask Gene for anything. If you want to meet Gene, go to one of the many appearances Gene makes and pay him his greedy money and you can meet him. That's what I say. Yeah, I'm still pretty wore out. And plus I've been doing stuff today. Actually, me and Hippie were, like for instance, I washed the underside of the bus. Like I aired it up, got it up in its highest position, sprayed degreaser all over the bottom of it and hosed it off. We mounted that battery charger and the plate. Hippie did that. Just emptied out some of the bays that had stuff in them. Just moved some things around. Just did some kind of light work. Silverton is a cool spot too, but I haven't really spent much time in Silverton. It's over on Blue Diamond. You know, there's, like I said, there's a lot of off-strip kind of casinos, but you know, it just depends on what kind of money. If you don't have any money, then you know, I don't know what to tell you. Life sucks without money. I was just having this conversation. Me and Hippie were hanging out. Whoops. You know, there's a lot of people that get really mad at me because they tell me how I'm non-empathetic. And I guess that's true. The thing about it is that it's my personal opinion that people that are poor have chosen to be poor. Right? And Richard says, how do you see mortality? I'm struggling to handle going away. Have you been given a diagnosis and you're not going to live? We were just talking about this subject. You know, we were talking about my lack of retirement planning, that my plan for retirement is that I'll probably just drop dead. So, I'm one of those people that thinks that death is like turning off a computer. You're just off. Your memory after death is the same memory you had before birth. You know, it's a great example. People are like, what was your life like before you were born? Well, you don't have a memory of it. Well, that's the same experience you're going to have when you're dead. Richard says he's starting to realize that his time is slipping away. Your time is slipping away from the minute you're born. Anything could happen. You could die from anything, from any time, any reason. Right? See, Brian Shields, I'm going to call you out right now. Blah, 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 because blah, 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 something else, because blah, blah, blah. And this is exactly the point. You know, there's people have their excuses. Oh, I got divorced. I lost my job. This happened, that happened. You know, things can be hard. Stephen Hawking wrote how many books blowing through a straw, and he was married and had kids. You know, the thing about it is that, you know, I'm just a pull yourself up by your bootstraps kind of guy. And we were talking about standards. I'm like, there's certain things that I just won't compromise. Certain things that I just have standards over. They're like, oh, you're bougie. I go, no, it's not I'm bougie. It's just that, like, I'm not going to sleep on the floor. Like if somebody said, hey, you can come over, stay at my house. You can sleep on the couch. Nah, I'll go get a hotel. Thanks anyway. You know. And they're like, oh, yeah, well, that's great if you have money. And I'm like, well, this is all part of it. See, I think about the future and I go, okay, I have to make sure the future is covered. And I think, and this is one of those places where I get myself really in trouble. I got to think about if I can even talk about this. There are certain cultures, or I should even say that there are certain people on this planet that don't have the ability to think about the future. Either the ability or the training or the IQ, or I don't know what's the word I'm looking for. There are people that don't think about the future. They only think about right now. And I think the thing that separates certain people from the other certain people is that thing of thinking about the future. Like the reason certain cultures of people have advanced so far technically is because they were constantly thinking about the future. And when you think about the future, you think about things like insurance, preparedness, building something that will last. Like if you think about the Romans built roads that are still in use today. Like 2,500 years later, they have a cobblestone pathway you can walk on that was laid that long ago. Okay? So, and I don't want to call out certain people that I know and get them in trouble, but like I've heard, there's so many times in my life that I've met somebody who's kind of down and out, and they're like, well, I got divorced. And I'm like, well, what does that have to do with anything? Well, my wife took, half my shit. Well, what'd you do with the other half? I'm like, well, I became homeless. I'm like, well, did she become homeless? No. Well, maybe there was a reason she divorced you. When I got divorced, I ended up with more money. I sold my, back in 2009 when me and my ex-wife split up, I sold my DeLorean, I sold my pinball machines, I sold a bunch of my stuff. And then I turned around at the same time and made some business deals and got some money in. Put together a good $100,000, and I went and put 30 grand down on a house, bought new furniture. So like I got divorced, the summer of 2009. By January 2010, I was moving into my new house. But I meet so many people that have been down and out for 5 or 10 years. I go, what happened? They go, oh, well, I got divorced and I moved out of my house. And I go, okay, well, why? And so when I tell people, I go, well, your lifestyle and the life you're living right now is 100% your choice. And then they go, no, but it was this. No, but it was that. I go, no. This was you. Oh, but I went to jail because it's something you did. Oh, but it's always because of something you did. Now, there's a lot of people out there, this was part of the conversation, who, yeah, they did something wrong and now they're going to like punish themselves. And I'm like, punish yourself? Like, I don't get into that kind of masochism, where I want to torture myself, where I want to punish myself. I only want to bring good to myself. I'm trying to think of the nicest word to say that. Now, there's a lot of people who also let greed ruin them. They enrich themselves in such a way that they damage all of their relationships. They're not thinking about the future. See, like one of the things I learned about, like, for instance, show business. Like the other day on my video, I was talking about how I was having some trouble with this other band, because some of the other band members were being kind of jerks, and talking smack. But I think to myself, here's another band of guys that plays the same music I play. I might need some of those guys in the future to be in my band. They might get rid of their singer and get rid of that other guy and have me come into their band. Like I might have a relationship with those people in the future. Why would I want to damage a relationship in the future with them? And when you apply that to like every area of your life, which is why I've kind of stopped talking about the politics, because I go, I was pissing off a lot of people who I would otherwise maybe have a positive relationship with over something that doesn't fucking matter. There's a lot of people that they have to make the decision, for instance, to like come out of the closet, right? And they're worried about the relationships they're going to damage with their parents, or, it's usually with their parents because they want to inherit money from them and everything. So they stay in the closet until their parents are dead. That's why you see a lot of people do that late in life. I'm just using that as an example. I'm just trying to think of other things that would be related to that. But what I realized about the politics was that, like, I'm not a politician. And it has nothing to do with me. So it's like my opinion of something is causing problems in my life. And it's like, who even gives a shit? I'm not in that business. It'd be different if I was a aspiring politician, or if maybe my family was into the political circus, or, you know, but I have nothing to do with it on any level. And 99.99% of all the people out there on Facebook and Twitter, the people that are protesting, the people that are out there, and I go, you're not a politician. You're not going to affect anything, and you're only going to hurt yourself. You know, there's people out there that are getting run over by and shot in the face by ICE and whatnot. Out there protest. I'm like, you know, you're a white American. You're like the white woman that got shot in the face by the ICE agent. Like, she's at no risk of being deported. This is none of her business. It's like, and you realize, like, there's so many fights you could have. And it's like, oh, well, I'm trying to stand up, you know, for what I believe in. Is that the only thing? Like, there's so many things happening in the world. That's the thing you're going to go get shot in the face over. Really? There's just like, there's tons of things that are happening that are injustices around the world that you could be protesting, and this is the thing that you're doing. You know? Protests are so dumb. You know? Just like everybody's talking about how these, what are they called? Patriot Front? So the white guys in masks went out with some flags. They chanted some shit, and then they went home. Who cares? And people are like all freaking out about it. Like, oh, they're white supremacists or whatever. Like, what if they are? What if they were in full-blown Nazi uniforms? They cosplayed, went out, Sieg Heiled, and then went back home. Who cares? Did they burn down any mosques? Did they, you know, round up any people? They didn't do anything. So everything they did was a waste of time, and everybody talking about it is a waste of time. You know who's doing something? The people in Belfast. That's something to talk about. When a group of guys gets together and burns down a business, well, now you're talking. I mean, there's something to discuss. But what I'm saying is people that are protests with their funny little memes and their little cardboard signs and their chants and da na 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 na. Who gives a fuck? Like, the thought of doing that would never occur to me for even a minute. Like, I have shit to do. Why would I put myself at risk? You know? It's dumb. Nah, Richard says, just be kind to each other and others who deserve it. Don't deserve it, stay away. What I've come to believe and learn is that the only way to have a decent society is through discrimination and what people call racism or whatever phobia, but that's the only way to have a decent society is through discrimination and shame. I think shame and discrimination should be upheld in society. And I'll give you an example, because you're going to look at me and go, what? That goes against everything we've been taught for so many years, Bob. I was watching this video about this guy that made a trip to Shenzhen, China, and he was showing how it was this like clean, amazing city and how high-tech it was. And I go, yeah, notice that it's completely homogenous with Chinese people. There's no diversity. There's no immigrants. There's nobody there but Chinese people who all look alike, think alike, dress alike, have the same social structure. And you can only have nice things in those situations. Because one or two bad apples, just one or two diversities thrown in there, will ruin the whole thing. Like when you have a super high trust-based society of people who follow the rules, because following the rules is really the entire game. When you have a society of people that have rules and then follow the rules, you can have a virtually perfect society. You know? So the thing is the only way to have a perfect society is to have the more homogenous it is. And the only way that you can do that is through discrimination. The only way you can do that is through, you know, call it racism, call it whatever you want. But when people talk about how great things used to be, oh, I grew up on a small town in the 50s. We didn't even lock our doors. We'd leave the keys in the car. Well, that's because you lived in a homogenous society of people that were just like you, that all went to your church and all went to your school, and they all look like you and talk like you. Whenever you have that, you know, when you go to a small town, what does that small town have in common? It doesn't have any diversity in it. And that's why they can have like an honor box system where they have like a little honey stand, you know, where just leave your money in the box and take a jar of honey. Oh, okay. And nobody steals. Right? So I don't believe in this whole kumbaya bullshit about treat everybody nice. How about treat people like shit that don't belong there? Our fear of being called a racist and our fear of being told that we're non-empathetic is what has ruined every single one of our Western societies. How about when the people get here with the curtains on their face, you tell them to fuck off and get out and not be nice to them. Go away. Out and see. Right? And I don't know if this is called politics. This is just social science. I'm not talking about who's the president. I'm not talking about whatever. But I am telling you that the secret to any society's preservation is, you know, discrimination. Stop being nice to everybody. Stop it. Let people who are assholes know they're assholes. And doesn't mean that these other cultures are assholes, but they don't belong. They don't belong. Right? Like, cut it out. We need shame. You know? Shame is like when somebody is being bad. I'll give you an example. Like, you go to Japan and you get on the train. I haven't been to Japan, but I've been told this. I've been told that if you go on the public transportation and like you're watching your phone with the speaker on, everyone there will give you a dirty look. You must be wearing headphones, or, you know, you should turn your phone off in public. It annoys me, like if I'm in public and somebody's there with their phone, this might be you right now. You know? So that's what shame is, you know, where everybody looks at you and goes, you know. So being respectful of others is a fear of shame. You know, you could tell everybody you need to know about a person from this one action. If you're driving through the parking lot of a grocery store or whatever, and a person crosses in front of your car, do they acknowledge you first? Do they speed up? Or do they ignore you? There's a certain element of our society that will just not even look at you. They'll even slow down a pitch, right? But there's another element of our society, and we know who they are, that will look at you, acknowledge you, and they'll trot and they'll get out of your way, right? That tells me almost everything I need to know about that person. So, I think that that's how you get the better society. I've never been to one of these Asian countries. I've just been told about it. I've never been to Japan. But what's unique about Japan? It's mostly homogenous Japanese people. Right? And they're fighting immigration and diversity just like every place is. But there's just not a single place on earth where diversity has made an improvement. Well, that's not true. I would say for the colonized people of the world, like for instance, England went into like India and colonized it, built up all their infrastructure. Then India revolted, run the English out, and most of the infrastructure they have is whatever's left that the Indian or that the English built. So, I was trying to read some of your comments, but you know. So the thing about it is that you know, you have you have people that listen. The one of the traits of being a good person is that you want to be good to other people, and that's our undoing. That's our kryptonite. That's what's wrong with us. Our empathy, our fear of being called a bad person, whether that's being called a racist or whatever, you know, naughty term is thrown at you, is what this says. I need glasses. Who? I need? I don't. Why do I need glasses? Talking to me? I can read. Let me see what Jimmy says. He says, I appreciate your show. I'm handicapped. You allow me to see stuff I would never get to see in depth. Oh. What is your handicap? Are you like, can you walk, can't walk, or what is the situation you have? Listen, I feel bad for people that can't do regular things. You know, life is hard for some people. They just can't even wipe their ass, you know. It would suck to not be able to do the things that we do. But there's people in this world that they don't let anybody keep them down. I remember when I was in Madison Square Garden and there was that little guy who I forget the name of the disease that he had, but like he had just little penguin arms, right? And he scooted around on a little skateboard, and he had like duct taped a plastic spoon to his nub and was like trying to play guitar in front of the Hard Rock Cafe. And I gave the dude like $100 bill. I go, look at this guy. You know, I mean, he's trying. The dude is trying. My party's going to be the end of 28th, 29th, 30th, something like that, of August. That's a great question. Fell off the truck. I wish I knew. My YouTube has been stalled for a long time. Matter of fact, the truth of the matter is that I probably lose subscribers every week. People are not liking the daily videos. There's some people out there that aren't. And I'm like, why would you unsubscribe? Just don't watch the video, you know. I don't think I've been shadow banned. I'm not appealing to new people. And I realize like this daily video thing that I'm doing is actually preventing me from making the videos that I used to do. You know, I used to just do these videos once in a while where I would do a presentation of a car or whatever, and I'm not doing that anymore, you know? Like I'd get a new car and I would do a video on the car and it would get, you know, 50, 100,000 views or something. And so I'm getting an average of about 3,000 to 5,000 views per day off of each video that I make. But like even these live videos, you know, I've found that the reason I made the separate channel for the Video Bob channel is because I found that the regular people, like here I have 173,000 or whatever subscribers, and I have 200 viewers watching me live. Where's the other 170 fucking thousand people? You know what I mean? It's like they all got the notice. They just, you know, forget it. And they're all real subscribers. Like I never bought any subscribers. I never did any shenanigans. It was all completely natural. But I think the problem is that people would subscribe because they thought I was going to do nothing but that same content. And then I did something else. They wanted to watch a video about oil changes on the Rolls Royce, or they wanted to watch a thing about the gypsy scammers, or they wanted to watch whatever it was that they tuned in for. And then they realized, and they're like, oh, this guy doesn't do any of that stuff. You know? So I don't know. It says you never get the notice from YouTube. I mean, do you have the notifications turned on? I don't know. So, you know, I haven't been doing my old style videos like I used to do, where I don't know what you call that kind of video, you know, like the Hoovie style video or the Doug DeMuro style video where you do a presentation of a thing. But I think, you know, like I was thinking about doing one on the Lincoln. I never did a video on the Lincoln. I did one on the Mercury and nobody gave a fuck. It got like, I don't know, got a few views. So I don't understand why people aren't getting the notifications. And I don't want to be like super narcissistic and, you know, but I'm like, I do ask myself, I go, how do I not have more viewers? I think I do sometimes I think I do some really great content. But I think what I'm saying about the daily videos is like in the past, I would have made a entire video about working on the bus, and it would have been a separate video. Whereas I just kind of am blending in the day-to-day things on my daily videos, and whereas that could have or should have been a video all unto itself. Now, you know, here's the thing. If you try to make a new channel, this channel's monetized, right? That's very, very hard to do. So it's very hard to get a new channel that's monetized. The Pib Zero. Good stuff. Anyway, guys, you know, I wasn't going to spend a lot of time on here today. So many people saying that, but yet you're here. So it says you didn't get the notification. So how do you know that I'm on right now? So yeah, I was thinking about doing on one of my videos. I thought about asking every single person. I was like, okay, look, if we get 3,000 to 5,000 views a day, it's like, what if I got everyone watching to, you know, like it, make a comment, to hype it up? Because the thing is YouTube looks for changes in virality. So like once you get like a viral video, then they start pushing you. And I thought, well, maybe I could just, if I could get all like 5,000 people to, you know, all participate, maybe it would give me a kickstart, you know. So I don't know, man. I wish if I knew the answer, I would definitely be taking advantage of it. This person says, why am I blocked? But you're not blocked if I can see your message. So that doesn't make sense, does it? And if you got blocked, you probably said something stupid. I was, you know, today, for some reason, I had to, somebody was talking about some Knight Rider stuff, so I went and got the link to my Screen Machines TV show Knight Rider episode that we did back in 2014. For those of you who remember, back in 2014, I had a TV show called Screen Machines. Didn't do very well. We only did 6 episodes, but it was on TV. And I was reading the comments on it, and it's like, there's no nice way of saying this, but basically, like, the average person is not super bright. And I'm reading the comments on there, and I'm just going, man, do you not know this is a TV show? Like, you know, they're like, oh, that wasn't real. And I'm like, it's a TV show. Like, and all these guys are complaining about how the car wasn't accurate. And I go, we built the car in like 5 days. We had to work with the resources we had. Oh, that's not the correct seats. It's like, dude, they had 23 different cars over the 4 or 5 seasons of the show, or whatever it was. It's like, there's no such thing as a screen accurate Knight Rider car, you know? And you realize, like, you know, people that watch wrestling and they're like, they believe it. They watch television, you know, and they don't seem to know. There was 23 Knight Rider cars, you know, used in the whole show, and none of them matched each other. Just like the A-Team vans, there was all these different A-Team vans, and none of them matched each other. And Back to the Future, they had, you know, 6 different cars, and so people talk about, you know, oh, that's not screen accurate. I go, well, screen accurate to what? Which car, which scene are you talking about? You know? And I've pointed this out many times. I'm like, look, in the A-Team, I saw them in one of the stunt vans. They used an Econoline Ford van that jumped into the river. So I could make an Econoline Ford A-Team van, and that's called screen accurate. One guy was talking to me, oh, those aren't the screen accurate wheels. I go, well, for what scene? I've seen 3 different vans with 3 different sets of wheels, some with 5 lug, some with 8 lug, some with hubcaps, you know, in the same show, same episode. And it's like, everybody thinks they're a fucking expert on everything. I forget who said this quote. I think it was, who was the quote attributed to? Maybe Mark Twain. Somebody knows. It was like, you know, I'm trying to remember how this quote went, but basically, the quote was something of the nature that books make people think that they know things, but they don't actually know things. Like, you didn't actually experience something because you read about it, right? Just because you read about something doesn't mean that you are now, you know, like, you might have read about going to China. You haven't been to China. So the point is like, there's so many people who think that they're experts. And I run into this on a daily basis. Well, you know, actually. I mean, I deal with this, I'm just like, ugh. Because in the process of doing these replicas, whether it's the Time Machine, Knight Rider, Ghostbusters, you know, we had to go through all these different reference photos, and it was so confusing because we would look at something and go, well, wait a minute. This is a screenshot from this movie, and here's the actual car, but these are 2 completely different things. Well, they changed it during production. Well, this one broke, this one fell off. This was the stunt car, this was the other car. We didn't think anybody would notice. And it's because when they were making TV, TV was low resolution. People didn't have VCRs. When you were watching Knight Rider in 1982, it's like most people weren't recording it. And even if they were recording it, it was at 200 lines of resolution on a tape on a 19-inch screen. They didn't know it was going to be remastered into 4K because I have it right here. I was sitting here going through this, watching some of the episodes in Ultra HD. Ultra HD on a Panasonic. And then I got a 4K Bravia TV here. And I was watching some of the episodes, and I was like, my God, this is terrible. You wouldn't, I mean, like, if I wanted to build a screen-accurate car for Knight Rider, it would have duct tape on the center console. You know, I mean, like, the amount of mistakes, you know, like David Hasselhoff was hardly ever in the car when it was doing a stunt. It was always this other dude with this ridiculous wig on. I was watching the Slammin' Sammy Stunt Car Spectacular, and it's supposed to be David Hasselhoff with this kid in the car, and the car is on two wheels, but you can clearly see, because of the Ultra HD, that they literally have like a Raggedy Ann doll in the passenger seat, and this guy with this ridiculous Bob Ross looking wig on driving the stunt car. And you can see where all the ramps are and everything, where he's going up on two wheels. You could see all the tow rigs and everything under the car. And I'm just, you know, you're just going, oh my God, this is so terrible. It was great when I was 6 years old watching it on a 19-inch Trinitron. But when you watch it on this 4K, I'm sitting right in front of this Sony Bravia OLED high-resolution screen on a Panasonic Ultra HD DVD player. And I'm watching it just going, this is fucking terrible. I wish I'd never seen this. This is a horrific, you know. Matter of fact, like some of these, I was like, I don't know if I want to watch them. I bought all these movies here. I went shopping. By the way, it is the 10-year anniversary of Answer the Call. Now I'm in this movie. You see that? I bought this for $1.99. Blu-ray. $1.99. That's how bad this movie is. I'm in this movie, by the way. I bought American Beauty, Kevin Spacey. Great movie. Howard the Duck. Tia Carrere with her band. I think they were called Cherry Bomb. Something like that. This was great. But then, you know, it's like you could see the wires and the cables. It's mechanical. This movie is never not funny. Kingpin. One of the funniest fucking things I ever saw in my life. To this day. Can't go wrong with Spaceballs. But watching it in 4K... But the movie's supposed to be ridiculous. Now, there's only one scene in this movie that you want to see in Ultra 4K. We all know what it is. This I bought in Ultra HD because Beetlejuice will never not be cool. I will never not be in love with Winona Ryder in that movie. Paid way too much for this, the Steelbook. Blues Brothers Ultra 4K. See, now here's a movie where, like, the whole movie was done with real practical effects. Can't fuck it up. I paid a lot for this as well. One of the greatest films of all time. A Hughes movie. Ultra HD. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Hadn't even watched it yet. RoboCop 2. Watching that little kid fire that Desert Eagle 50 is the most laughable shit. I had a Desert Eagle 50 and it'll knock a filling loose. Now here's a good one. Tell me about the lambs, Clarice. You thought if you could save just one lamb from the farmer, you could stop the screaming, couldn't you? all those tedious backseat dates in West Virginia. You've tried so hard to cover it, haven't you, Clarice? The fucking greatest performance of an actor. It's just one of the best character performances I think I've ever seen. When I watch it, I'm just in awe of Anthony Hopkins. You know? It's like, it's just, you know, it's one of the best. Okay. You know what they call a quarter pounder with cheese in France? A Royale with cheese. There's some of the great, you know, to this day, I call my wife Honey Bunny, and it's because of this movie. I mean, one of the greatest films of all fucking time. Now, this is coming back to theaters soon. Terminator 2. I haven't watched this yet in Ultra 4K. I've been afraid to watch it. Because I'm afraid I'm going to see some shit in there and it's going to ruin it. But it might also be great. I haven't watched it in 4K yet. I've never seen this in 4K. But one of the greatest sci-fi movies of all time. 100%. Ghostbuster 2. It's good and it sucks at the same time. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Of course, the original Ghostbusters Blu-ray. Now here's a movie I will never not think is awesome. Ford Fairlane. This is hard to get in the United States. It's real hard to find. Meh. One of my favorite movies has Robert Englund in it. Has hello. No thanks. I've brought my own. It's fucking great. It's got so many cameos in it. Whether it's Morris Day, Tone Loc, you know, it's got all the great what's his name? Yes. Oh, here's to you sucking my dick. The fuck's his name? But you know what I'm saying. Stanley, yeah. The power drill. I love every moment, every line in the film. Fucking Ed O'Neill. Buddha time, across the USA. Oh my God. The whole movie is just epic. Gilbert Godfrey, thank you for that. I needed that. Thank you. And of course, 4K, this just RoboCop. I'll buy that for $1. I think I don't know what I paid. I paid a lot for this. And actually, this is an import because just certain shit. But this movie will never not be awesome. Anyway. Married with Children. I'd like to get Married with Children, the whole series. That would be good. Like unedited. So I've been buying my 4K stuff. And of course, the first one I bought was, you know what it is. Back to the Future. You know, but this movie was all done with real practical effects. So when you watch this in 4K and you're seeing the time machine in all its glory, you're seeing the real car. You're not seeing any CGI bullshit, you know. Oh, I absolutely love the Ford Taurus because of RoboCop. I own 6 Ford Tauruses in my life, so. But anyway, that's a peek inside Videobob movies. What is it? How many time machines have you built? I think we're on our 55th car right now. 55th car. Dirty Harry in 4K. That's a good movie. Says, Keith says you're an old friend. Hello, old friend. You don't remember me, but I love and support you. Well, who were you? Remind me. I was in the Answer the Call movie. If you watch Answer the Call, the one with the girls, I'm in, when they first were walking in the theater, I'm walking in behind them. And then I'm at the front of the stage, right in front of the trap when they're catching the big green dragon. You'll see me. I never watched Condor Man. I wasn't really into that. I'm trying to read some of your, someone's asking me about the gold and silver price. Get an app. I don't know. I'm getting a lot of, I can't read these fast enough. They're going too quickly. Anyway, there's so many movies that are great. There's so many movies that are great. These are just some of the ones that I've grabbed. Once in a while, I go down to like Zia Records down the street. But I'm just trying to, all my, or a good portion of my VHS and DVDs and stuff were all burned up in the fire because they were all sitting here like on my desk like they're now. And I had them all stacked up on the side here right where the fire was hottest, and they were all ruined. But I found myself, before the fire, I had my VCR sitting here. It got melted. I had a VCR DVD combo that I was watching. And I found myself really enjoying watching VCR tapes. And what I realized is that not only, like, first of all, you were getting the raw, unedited, uncut versions of the movies if you're getting the actual first run cassette. But there was just something, and I hate to use that word nostalgic, but there was something about the entire experience. Like the smell of the cassette, the little rattle sound it makes when you open the box and you take the cassette out, and the sound it makes when you put it in the machine and you hear the flap open, you hear the whirring of the head, you hear the tape being wrapped around the drum, you hear the click of the reels, the smell of the capacitors warming up in the back of the VCR, the tracking line as it finds itself, and there was just all of that. It's just like when you go to a theater and you see a real 35 millimeter print of a movie, and you see the flicker, and you see the alignment marks, and maybe there's a jump, and that little noise it makes as where the trailer has been cut into the movie, and then when it goes to you don't get all that when you go see these digital projections. I don't know who is still showing film. I don't know if anybody's showing film. There was just something about it. It was different. The slight flicker of the 24 frames a second. Now we're seeing everything at 60 frames a full frame second, digital. And I was really enjoying watching VHS tapes. It had a different sound. No, it wasn't as good. It was sometimes not as good as better. It's just what we grew up on, and it was what we were used to, and we were familiar with it. Think about all the movies that we recorded off of cable onto a VHS tape in SLP mode and slow mode when you could fit 3 movies on a cassette, and how shitty it was. But it was fine. Says, I have a Samsung DVD VCR new in the box with Netflix. But I don't want to give it away. Use it. The thing is I have I have several professional VCRs. That particular one was just a modern one, But I was I'd go to Zia's in different places, and you'd find a cassette for a couple of bucks, And there's a lot of things that are on cassette that aren't out there. You might be able to find it on YouTube or something like that, but concert DVDs and things like that were made, they made a couple thousand copies of it, and then ownership changed and the catalog got sold and whatever, and you're just not going to find it again. And that's the great stuff. There was so many things that were put out through the 80s and 90s on VHS because they just needed to have as many first-run releases as possible. And a lot of that stuff just never got re-released. It just doesn't exist anywhere. Because the problem is somebody would put that thing up on YouTube or whatever, and then it gets taken down for copyright. So now you can't get it because you can't buy it. Nobody has it, but you can't post it because copyright, blah, 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 blah. And there was some VHS tapes I lost in the fire that just fucking sucks. You know, they're just gone. You know. What do I think of? I don't even know who Lindsey Graham is. No, I know that he was a politician, preacher, something. I don't know. I'm trying as hard as I can to not pay attention to these people. This person says, was you a skinhead in OC back in the... What is OC? I don't know what OC is. No, I'm not a skinhead. I'm just bald. So... Are you a Star Trek? I do like Star Trek. I like the original series and I like the new generation, but that's it. I never lived in Orange County. I don't even know where that is. The only reason I know anything about Orange County is because I like No Doubt. Otherwise, that's what, Anaheim? You feel sad about my cat that was in the fire? That was like a year and a half ago. He seems to be fine. There's a guy that I follow on TikTok, and what he does is he gets a hold of random VHS tapes. You thought you were in what? No, I'm from Dallas, Texas. Dallas, Fort Worth. And now I live in Las Vegas. I've never lived in California, ever. I forgot what I was saying. It's hard to keep a train of thought when you're doing a live show with the comments because it creates ADD even if you don't have ADD because you're going to constantly be going back and forth. Is my house fully finished? Basically, yeah, the house is fully... I mean, we've been living here since last October. I mean, I haven't got all the pictures hung up on the wall that I want to get decorated, but other than that, yeah, it's basically completely finished. I mean, there's little things we're doing, like, on, you know, outside, but, like, we still haven't put the roof on the patio back there, but I'm like, I'll get to it. I was talking about some guy that watches VHS. I don't remember what his channel is. But there's a guy on... Hold on. Oh, I don't know. Let me see. Where do I find my... I'm following 520 people. So... It's impossible. Let me put... If I search VHS, I wonder if that would find it. Let me see. Video. Let me see. I forgot this dude's name. But what he does is he does... What is this? Hold on. I just found fake Video Bobs. Searching... This one is user something, Video Bob Mosley. What the fuck? There are fake Video Bobs on TikTok. What is this shit? Beware. Fucking fake video bombs. What is this shit? Reposting my stuff. Look, the real Video Bob is just one word. Video Bob at Video Bob Mosley. I have 73,000 followers on TikTok. If you're not on that channel, then it's not me. I have 1.2 million likes. So, interesting. Fake Video Bobs. Anyway. Well, you know, there's probably a bot or something that just spots anybody with any kind of traction and just copies their thing, you know. Let's see. Can I build a high enough wall to block out the apartments? You know, there's really nobody out in the apartments. Like, how often do you hang out on your porch and stare at the people across the street? It's like, it's not really that big a deal, but we're going to do our best to put up a wall. You know, we're going to, it's going to cost me like $10,000. Guy just sent me the updated thing here. Let me look at it. So he wants $10,000 to do this. Oh, okay. He says we provide material or you provide material. So trying to see what he's talking about here. The pool brick wall project. 6 by 16. J-bar Cada 32 inches. Footing 2 bars underneath. Every 8 feet, make a hole for metal bar. Remove 2 metal pole for bigger entry pathway. I don't understand. I'm confused. I don't understand what this... Approximately 3 to 4 feet tall. Well, what we were talking about is building sort of a small concrete retaining wall, you know, around the edge of the pool. And then what we can do is, instead of mounting poles that go down into the ground, get like 10-inch or 10-foot, you know, steel poles and clamp them to the side of the concrete, and then mount like 8 by 8 fence panels to those. So anyway, yeah, let's see. How high can the wall be? I don't know. I'm looking into all that. I have one pinball machine. I only have the Ghostbusters. Well, no, that's not true. I have Ghostbusters and the Kiss pinball machine. I'm going to keep the Kiss pinball machine. I want to sell the Ghostbuster pinball machine. I have it for sale. Let's see. How's my foot's doing? Fine. Have I seen Caveman with Ringo? Yeah, 100 years ago. It's not that great. I'm trying to read some of these other comments. I'm trying to figure. Some of y'all, I don't understand what you're talking about. I'm like, what? Are you planning to sell the Lambo and get a newer Tesla? I don't know. I thought about selling the Lamborghini just because, like, I don't drive it that much. I was just thinking about the amount of money that it is. You know, I was like, like if I sold it for like 150,000 or something like that, like that's a nice boost of cash, you know. Like this building that I want to build over there is going to cost like $100,000. You know, by the time I do the slab, the building, the erection, permits, whatever, insulation, powered door, lighting, it's going to get close to $100,000. You know, it's supposed to be closer to 80, but I know how this shit works. I've been down this road before. You know. And then you're just talking about a super hot building, you know. And then, you know, I wouldn't say it's just another SUV. It's a fucking awesome Lamborghini. I'm just saying that, you know, I don't hate it or anything, but I was just like, you know, I get a car, I have it for a while, then I get another car, you know? But I'm just kind of over it. I've had so many nice cars. At the end of the day, I'm just like, I'm kind of getting to a point in my life where I hate attention. Every time I take the Lamborghini out, people got to make comments about it. And I'm just like, ugh, leave me alone. You know? It's like, I'm just trying to enjoy the car. I like the car. I didn't buy it for you. I bought it for me. You know, like, do you order a steak so that people can watch you eat it? They go, oh, you bought it because you like attention. No, I bought it because I like it. I like red leather, and I like carbon fiber, and I like, you know, twin turbo fucking, it's a cool car. I like it. I enjoy it. I honestly didn't buy it so that some 40-year-old fuck can make comments. You know, I don't care about anybody else. I don't need to impress anybody. Why can't I impress me? Everybody goes, oh, you buy a Rolls Royce because you're trying to look important. Maybe I like the car. Maybe it's nice. You know, do I wear shoes because they're comfortable or because I want you to look at them? Like, you know, maybe I like it. Am I allowed to like it? So, you know, when I sit down and order a meal, that I buy it so that the people sitting across from me can watch me eat it. Look how great this looks. You know? So I'm just saying. And so sometimes what I like about the Tesla, well, the Tesla has a political connotation to it. People don't seem to give a fuck about like the old ones. They're like, yeah, he's had it for a long time. You know? But it's like, yeah, exactly. It's like I scratch the itch. You know, even though I have a Lamborghini Countach replica, I can't really say it's close enough to the real thing. It doesn't have the V12. It doesn't have the sound. But the overall experience is kind of the same. I know what it's like to get in and out of, and I know what it's like to drive it around, and I know what it's like when people look at it. So I'm like, okay, let's say I spent $1 million and bought a real 89 anniversary red Countach and drove it around town. I'm going to get the same exact experience that I'm getting from this $20,000 replica. Right? So I'm just going, okay. So driving around the Urus, like, I guess if I was single, you know, I've been married for 28 years consecutively. If I was a single guy, I guess I'd want to keep the Lambo. But at the same time, not really. The girls that are attracted to that car are not girls that I would meet my standards. I would only date a girl who wouldn't give a fuck about the car. So the Rolls Royce is an experience. When you're in the car, it's just like, you're just like, this is great. You know, this is fantastic. You know, like, I enjoy driving you know what, I might take it out tonight. You know what, thinking about it, I think I'll take it out today. You know, I was thinking about going to get something to eat. I think I'll take the Phantom. I haven't taken the Phantom out in a minute. I used to drive it every day, you know, but I was just like, I can't drive this thing every day. But, Keith says, you've known me since Carter Riverside. I wish I could see a picture of you. Are you a white guy or a black guy? I can't tell from your picture. Most of the people that I went to school with at Carter were not white. So if you went there, you know what I mean. I hung out with, when I was at Carter Riverside High School, I only had a couple of friends, and most of them weren't in my same grade. Carl Todd who I'm still friends with today. He was in a grade or two above me. Jack Welch, that was a friend of mine, he was in a grade above me. I remember there was a kid, I can't remember his real name. I think we called him Dragon because he played D&D. And I used to hang out with him. I hung out with the nerds at the nerd table. Oh, we traded G.I. Joes together. I think I might know who you are. Are you the same dude that we ran into at the liquor store, me and Vinny, and we were doing shots in the parking lot? Was that you? I'm wondering if that was you. But I was into G.I. Joe back then. Well, because I was 14. I was really too old. Oh, you are that guy that we did the Jaeger shots. I know exactly who you are. That's great. Oh, how you doing? I do remember you. We were nerds. Well, I was this in high school. I dressed like this biker. I had a mullet. I wore these big black boots. I think everybody used to call me Boots. And I'm going to blow your mind. Check this out. Give me a second. Let me find my photo albums here. I have my Carter Riverside ID on my phone. Because I love showing people this. And here it is. 1990-91. Look at that. Homeroom 249. Look at this face of mine. I literally look like a Simpson character. I wish I could get this to focus. Let me see. Maybe I'll make it bigger. It's like, hold on. I literally look like a bully in a cartoon. But I remember taking the picture and I went, "Arr!" like that. And I thought, and she goes, "No, that's great. Just keep it like that." Now, I'm going to show you Rachel's high school. Now, she went to a different high school. But this is her high school picture. Hold on. You can see without the reflection. She literally went with the Adam Ant and the flock of seagulls. How great is that? We were goth. So, yeah, so you remember Mr. Teams? Mr. Teams was the vice principal. He used to administer spankings from the Board of Education. He had a 2x4. He'd make you pull down your pants and whack you on your bare ass. And he'd aim for the balls. Yeah. Whack! I want this guy to confirm that, because I've told this story before and people don't believe me. They're like, no. I go, yeah, that happened. Dr. Peterson, my high school principal, cornered me in the hallway, and he goes, "What are you doing in my school? You're making my school look bad. Why don't you just drop out and get a job?" He actually told me to drop out and get a job. And I'm trying to remember the art teacher. The art teacher, I'm trying to remember his name. He had this like Neil Diamond like haircut. And I remember he would always be crying in class all the time. I'm pretty sure he was probably in the closet. Like, I remember like you and I, Keith, were in class when the Berlin Wall came down in 1989. And I remember him bawling his eyes out, telling us all about the Berlin Wall, how significant this was, what a historic day this was. I remember, now do you remember this? The woodshop teacher. I remember woodshop teacher attacked me once. these other Mexican kids were fucking with me. And I don't know, I got in a tussle with them, and the damn shop teacher grabbed me by the throat and choked me. And I was in the principal's office, and I picked up the phone and called home. And I wonder if you remember this, when my stepdad, Cotton, this big biker with the white beard, drove his 4x4 truck right up onto the lawn of the school and came up in there and look, he says, and they had to get the shop teacher out the back door because he was running around going, I'm going to kick this guy's ass. I remember when that happened, and that people talked about me for. So what happened after that incident is I got shipped off to what was called Metro. Metro was like the school for bad kids, right? And the little short bus would come and pick you up at 9 a.m. and then shuttle you off to this Montessori-style school where you would stay in one classroom all day long. And, you know, they gave me all this testing. And, you know, I did really well in there. They go, look, you're reading at college grade level. We thought you had a learning disability, but I go, I don't have a learning disability. The problem that I have is that I hate school, and I hate the students at school, and I hate my teachers. Like, well, why? And I go, well, because most of the kids here are racist against me. I'm this like white kid. And, you know, you may have heard these rumors, and a lot of these rumors were true. So Cotton, the biker guy that I was talking about, he was this biker that my mom had hooked up with. He drove this brown 4x4 truck that was like the Fall Guy truck. Now, the KKK was big during the 80s and 90s in Fort Worth. And, like, he would hang out with the KKK. And, like, I remember, like, we went to some, like, biker rally or whatever it was, and there was, like, the Klan was there. Like, in their costumes. It was like a barbecue. And the worst possible fucking thing that could happen to a teenager happened to me. I can't even believe I'm talking about this. But, like, this, like, reporter was there taking pictures of this. I don't know what the event was, but it was like bikers and Klans people and, like, fucking, I don't know. And there was a picture of me and a bunch of other kids just standing there. I'm just a 15-year-old kid standing there like this, watching. And they printed it in, like, because there's a little town called Cleburne. And they printed this article about the KKK in Cleburne, Texas. And there was a picture, and I guess because we were young kids or whatever, there's a picture of me and some other kids standing there with their arms crossed, looking stupid. And they printed this in the paper. Well, somebody brought this. I'm very unique looking, even back then. Somebody brings this paper into school and makes Xerox copies of it and passes it around. So basically, like, most of the people in this school are either black or they're Mexican. I'm one of, like, the few white kids in the school. And now they're passing around a thing saying that I'm in the Klan. And my teachers were treating me badly. I had this Mexican gang. Do you remember this? There was this little guy named Sammy. Dude was 4 feet tall. He thought he was Al Pacino. And they all gather around me one day as I'm walking home from school, and they're like, you know, hey, Vato, you got a problem with this? I go, I don't have a problem with you guys. They go, yeah, but we saw a picture. I go, I said, man, I go, yeah, I went to this thing. My stepdad took me there. It was like a biker rally. I don't know. The fucking Klan was there, and they took my picture. Some asshole took my picture. And so, like, I've tried to cover this up. I don't talk about it, you know. But this ruined me in school because I had all these people now wanting to fight with me, pick a fight with me. I got jumped a couple of times. The problem is, I was as big as I am now. I was like 6 feet tall, 200 pounds when I was 15. Oh, you remember this guy? I remember him. This dude was literally Scarface. I think he went to jail for murder. But they surrounded me in that little island, you know, on what's that road that, you know, Bonnie, whatever. And they were all going to kick my ass. Yeah, the Rock Island guys. Yeah. And I go, I got no problem with you guys. You got a problem with me. I go, somebody took my fucking picture. What am I supposed to do with it? They go, okay, man, you're cool. And they let me go and they never bothered me again. But when this guy Cotton, so imagine this guy, I don't think I have a picture of him, but this guy was like a hardcore biker. He drove his 4x4 up onto the front lawn of the school, went up the stairs, kicked in the door. He's 6'4", pistol in his belt. And he's like, you know, looking for the shop teacher. I'm going to kick his ass. They took him out the back door. Keith says I was cool. I'm going to tell you a really depressing story about school. Do you remember the Blockbuster that was down the street that used to be next to the Eckards? It's all gone now. But, you know, down at the end of Belknap, there was, you know, the liquor store. Eckards was there, and then there was a Blockbuster across the street from the liquor store. Across the street from Minyards, you know. And I remember... who's Mr. Shambo? I'm trying to remember who that was. But anyway, I'm in this Blockbuster, you know, years later. And there's this girl, and she's kind of, Pink Poodle, yeah. Remember Pink Poodle? My mom used to go to Pink Poodle. And she went to Pink Poodle number 2 on 28th Street. Good times. Shop teacher, Mr. Shambo. Okay, that sounds familiar now. Yeah, so he had attacked me. So the thing is, what was we had that deaf, was it Coach Eason? He was a deaf, he was partially deaf, but he had that deaf talk to him. Because one time I made fun of him to his face. You know, he's like, you know, because he would do that voice like that, you know. And like, I was just like, he would do math class, but he was also like a coach. And he was like yelling at me, and I was like, you know, yeah, fuck you back. I started doing his voice back to him. And he grabbed me by the throat and picked me up and held me against the wall. Like, I'm telling you, this school was off the hook. In today's world, I would have sued this school for hundreds of $millions. I can't tell you how many times I was physically attacked by my teachers, my principals. Right? The shop teacher kicked my ass. My coach kicked my ass. The fucking vice principal spanked me on the bare ass with a board. And I never laid a hand on anybody except one time. There was this, it was like real short, really fat black dude, bald guy. He looked like one of the fat boys. And I remember he got up in my face and was like, "What are you going to do? What are you going to do?" And I just went like this. I went, pow, and I hit him right in the nose with my forehead. And blood was running out of his nose, you know. And he goes, "This motherfucker just hit me with his face." I'll never forget that. Oh, and there was remember the Egyptian kids? There was these 2 Egyptian guys. These 2 Egyptian dudes used to bully me. I remember one of them like tapped me on the shoulder, and I turned around and he punched me in the face. And I kicked him in the shin. I mean, there was some shit going on in this school. And there was another white kid, a real tall white kid, had acne all over his face, and he used to drive a primer red 57 Chevy. He was a senior. And I remember he picked a fight on me once and pulled a knife on me. Pulled a fucking, he had a, what do you call it? Swiss Army knife with the corkscrew. He pulls that out and, opens up he's like, you're going to get cut. And I remember I had my bicycle chain, which was like a dog chain, and I just went whack. And I cracked him with that fucking chain. Oh my God. I hated high school. I did ninth grade. I graduated ninth grade, and I did 10th grade twice. So I spent 3 years there at Amon Carter, sorry. And everybody there wanted to fuck with me for some reason. Like, I tried not to bother anybody. I just sat there and doodled. I used to draw like pictures of like Garfield and The Simpsons and shit like that, Metallica logos. I still have some of this stuff, actually. I still have it. And my teachers were all out to get me. Everybody thought I was in the Klan. Also, I was really, really poor. We lived in a hovel. I rarely took a shower. We didn't have a washing machine. So like I would show up and like I remember my pants would be just black and slick from like, it smelled like gasoline. I remember a teacher taking me aside going, you smell really bad. They're like, do you need to change your underwear? And I go, I don't wear underwear. And they're like, oh my God. And it's like, we didn't have a nice place to live. Like we didn't have a shower. We only had this old bathtub. And I think it didn't have hot water. So like in the wintertime, I just didn't take a fucking bath. You had to boil the water on the stove and pour it into the tub. We were living over there on Race Street behind where 6 Points Griddle used to be before it burned down. And like we were living in this house. When I drive by and look at that house now, I just go, oh my God, I can't believe I used to live there. It was, and before they built the AutoZone and all that, that field, like homeless people were living over there. It was just it was just so bad. It's like, I was poor. I only had like 2 pairs of jeans. I wore like Velcro shoes or whatever. Like I had no money. I had, I've always had a problem with like my skin. I get cheesy. I get ashy. I get ashy. And like, so like I didn't have $5 to go get a haircut. So I just had this like mullet, and I'd have dandruff all over me all the time, because I didn't have proper skin care. I wasn't washing my hair. Man, I was poor white trash. I was overweight because I ate nothing but crap, like the food that I ate back then is like, the cheap burritos and whatever the cheapest shit I could get at Minyards. They had those like 10 for $1 pizzas back then, like it was just a bad situation. And when I was 16, Dr. Peterson says to me, he's the principal, he goes, why don't you just drop out? You don't have to be here. Go get a job. And that's what I did. I got a job at Jack in the Box. They provided me with a uniform. They gave you that navy blue pair of pants and shirt and everything. And I had $5. I went and got a haircut. I took my very first paycheck from Jack in the Box and moved out of my house and moved in with another guy from Jack in the Box. We shared an apartment, and I've been on my, been on my own ever since. But that period of time, we were so poor, and I didn't have food stamps. I mean, I guess I had subsidized school lunch. I definitely had that. Because really the only reason I went to school was just to get lunch. It's all I cared about. And they had this rule there that if you missed, I think 3 days, you failed the entire semester. So if you came in to homeroom late, past whatever it was, 7:30, whatever the count was, or 8 o'clock, you were counted absent, even if you were there. And I would sleep in because, like, you know, I didn't have an alarm clock. You know, my mom worked nights. She worked in bars. You know, I got this fucking biker guy who sells weed, who's in the Klan, living with me. You know, my brother was a cokehead, probably breaking into cars, stealing stairs. Like, I was in a bad situation. And how the fuck I didn't end up an alcoholic, drug. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't use drugs. I haven't been to prison. How anybody who would have seen me as a 14, 15-year-old hoodlum kid wearing a leather jacket with a mullet back then would have, they would have bet their life that I would have ended up in prison or dead by the time I was 20. I don't know how I got out of that. I don't know. I just did the opposite of everybody. I said, well, I had no interest in smoking, never had a beer in my life. You know, I just, where did I learn my work ethic? Just pure survival. There was just something about me that was like, these motherfuckers are crazy. For some reason, yeah, I was just built different. For some reason, unlike my two brothers who, you know, smoking weed, smoking cigarettes, drinking beer, you know, Doug wasn't a criminal. He was just dumb. My brother Marty, he was a criminal. He liked to steal, rob places. And so he didn't do like violent shit. He liked to break into a place in the middle of the night and, you know, take some dumb shit, take their computer and sell it or whatever. But like me, I thought Jack in the Box was a dream come true because I love their food. I'm like, wow, I get to eat here whenever I want. They're paying me $4 an hour. They had to make me leave. They're like, you know, back then I was just Robbie, you know. So Keith might have only known me as Robbie. And he's like, they're like, you need to go. You know, like I would clock out after 8 hours. They're like, you can't do overtime. I go, well, I got nowhere to go. Like they're like, I didn't want to go home. I didn't have any furniture in my apartment. The apartment was like $300 a month and I was splitting it with another guy. And like, we were just sleeping on the floor. We just had this room with nothing in it. We didn't have either, you know, we didn't have any fucking furniture. Like we just slept on the floor, you know, but at least we had a place to go that wasn't around these idiots. You know, I wasn't near the stepfather who was in the Klan or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm like, I'll do anything. Just get me out of here. I'll work for $4 an hour. Fuck it. You know? So I just had an air of self-preservation. I didn't want to do anything that was self-destructive. And the reason I dressed the way I did is because I was living with these bikers. Like, you know, I wore a leather jacket and I wore these biker boots, which I still have to this day. I still have them. I don't know why I never got rid of them. I just kept them. But I became a biker like the bikers I was living with because that's, you know, Cotton took me down to the Pro Source, Payless. He's like, hey, why don't you get a pair of boots like your old man, you know? And he bought me a pair of the steel toe boots, and I walked around in those. You know, they hurt my feet. But every pair of shoes I ever had before that was like Pro Wings, the Velcros, you know? That's why my back is curved the way it is today, because I had such terrible shoes, you know? But yeah, I mean, like, I was showing somebody this picture yesterday. Do you remember, if you're still there, Keith, remember I used to ride my motorcycle up there? I got that motorcycle. Actually, my brother Doug bought the motorcycle for $250. And he used to let me ride it. I had no license. I had no insurance, no tags, nothing at all. And I used to ride this Honda motorcycle. It was a 1971 Honda 754. Let me move this light, right? So you can, I wish you could see it. But that's about the time I was in high school, maybe a little later. And so here I am. I would ride this bike to school, this motorcycle, no license. Because, I mean, I was 15, but I looked huge. Thank you for the gift, Jenny Bug. Is that really you, what you look like, or are you some creepy dude that put some hot chick's picture as your avatar? It's for the cat, she says. Thank you. So just one day you were gone. Yeah, I got the fuck out of there. Do you know, Keith, that you are in a famous video? That video, I don't know if you know who that person was. See, I was working for this guy, Vinnie Paul. He was a famous drummer in a band. And he had a band called Pantera. And then he had another band called Hell Yeah. And we were doing a promotion for Jägermeister. And we went up to this liquor store and bought $1,000 worth of Jaeger. And while we were in the parking lot, we see you. And he just starts like, he pulls out this microphone. He goes, here, do a rap for us, because you're a black guy, I guess. And he's like, and then he starts doing some kind of rap, which was funny as shit. And then we're doing shots together in the parking lot. I don't know if you know that that's on a famous DVD. And millions of people have seen it. If you go search for, I could probably find it. Let me see. I'll go find it right now on YouTube. It's put in, let me see. Hell yeah. I don't even know how you spell Jägermeister. Jägermeister. Oh, there it is.
So you know, we get this big ass party we're doing.
I don't know if you can copy this link. I'm gonna put it in the thing here. But this is a special, this is on the Hell Yeah Below the Belt DVD, and I think in a few other places. But this guy, yeah, so that video, it has 500,000 views right here. So gosh darn, that was how long ago? 2006, I want to say, right? 20 years, more than 20 years ago. Crazy, right? Here we are, old men. But yeah, thinking back to these times, you know, I've blocked out a lot of this. I got out of high school. I worked at Jack in the Box for a couple of years. I've told many of these stories. I sold stuff at the flea markets. The thing that hurt me is I did not have a high school diploma and I didn't have a GED, and it's hard to get a job when you have not even a GED. So I don't even have a GED. I don't have a high school diploma or a GED. I have technically a 9th grade education. And so basically, I just worked. You know, and I spent, I don't know. See, I got married to my first wife in 1999, but I met her in 97. And when I reconnected with her recently, I talked about this. I go, I realized, even though we were together for 10 years, I realized I was never really in love with her. I just latched on to the first decent human being that came down the pike that was willing to be with me. I just like, oh, wow. You just lied about your diploma. It never occurred to me to just lie. I figured they would want to see it. Like, I thought you had to bring it in and go, here it is. I was always afraid that they were going to check me on it, so I never lied, but I honestly, the thing that probably helped me the most is I didn't get jobs. By not getting jobs, I never got trapped in the job world. When you get into a dead-end job, you get stuck there forever. By being an entrepreneur, I had to learn how to survive, and I had to just figure it out. And recently, I had somebody call me and tell me about how they used to work at the Radio Shack I used to visit all the time, and that they were a big fan. And I used to go down to the Radio Shack outlet. I've told this story many times, and I would buy stuff that I could afford, and I would take it home and fix it, clean it up, and then I would take it to the flea market and sell it. Listen, if you're making $4.40 an hour, so like let's say after tax, that's like $4 an hour. So, $4 an hour times 40 hours a week is only 160 a week. 160 a week. Oh my gosh, thank you for this gift. Look at this. Skylar giving me a $20 bill. Thank you. Well, that's not necessary. You don't have to send me money, but thank you very much. That's very nice of you. Cassie had to remember what year you had to graduate. But, so 160 a week. Wow. So times 4. So 640. So let's say I'm making $640 a week from Jack in the Box. Now, I'm splitting the rent at the apartment was $360, split in 2. Eventually, I ended up with the whole thing, actually. So let's just say $360. So what did I just say? It was $650 or whatever, minus $360. That only leaves me with less than $300 after rent. So how did I live? Well, back then, gas was less than $1 a gallon. All my food came from Jack in the Box because I worked there. So I ate breakfast, lunch, and dinner at Jack in the Box because I would just take home food. And I didn't have a microwave and anything back then. I had like a pot of water. So like I just didn't eat. Like, I'd have some cereal or something. I would buy some food and have a sandwich or something. But even on days I didn't work, I went in and ate. And then what I did was I wasn't allowed to get overtime, but I could go work at a different Jack in the Box. So I actually worked at 2 Jack in the Boxes. I worked at the one there on Belknap Street by Carter Riverside. But I also worked at the one up on Lancaster. And I also worked at the one in Arlington on Collins. So I actually, because it was actually a separate franchise. So I would go work. So I actually worked like every hour that I could that I could get a job. And then eventually I got the job at the gas station working overnights. And that was $5 an hour. And I would sleep in the gas station because it was overnights. I would just go into the office and sleep on the floor. And then I would put a little, they had the little doorbell because it was you were in the glass box, with the drawer. So somebody would have to ring the bell and I'd put a sign there that goes, stocking cooler in back, please ring bell. And I'd come out there like, yeah. And they're like, yeah, you clearly just woke up. And give me a pack of Camels. Give me a pack of Newports. So I would just sleep back there. Because we'd go hours without anybody coming in there, So, I never finished the Blockbuster story. Thank you for reminding me. This is what happens. So, just going back to that real quick. So, I went into this Blockbuster. This was a couple of years after high school. And there was a girl working there, a really cute girl, cute Mexican girl, And she goes, I went to school with you. I sat in, behind you in Mrs. Whatever's class. I was like, oh, really? And I go, really? I go, I don't really remember you that well, but, hi. And she goes, well, I always secretly had a crush on you. And I was like, really? I said, well, unfortunately, I'm married now, so. And she's like, oh, well, she goes, yeah, me too. And I go, oh, wow, this is probably like, 5-10 years later after high school. It's probably early 2000s, probably like 2001 or something like that, somewhere in there, And the point is she goes, I always secretly had a crush on you. I go, really? Why didn't you ever say anything? She goes, I was afraid my friends would make fun of me. And I was so depressed. I went out of there and I was like, You know, this fucking clock is going crazy. 7:00. I was just so crushed because I was like, man, you know, I didn't have there was one girl at Amon Carter that I got to hold her hand once. And her name was Patty. And Patty literally looked like Little Debbie, right? Like she was this white girl, skinny, freckles, right? Always wore like a full length like dress. She dressed like she was on Little House on the Prairie. She was not attractive. You know what she looked like? She looked like Lily Tomlin, if you know who that is, right? And one time, like I used to walk to her house, and we used to go walking around together. And one time on the bus, I held her hand. And that's as far as I got with her. And the other kids used to make fun of her. You know, they used to call her Cow Patty. They go, because they're like, you know, you look like shit. I mean, she had these big Weird Al glasses, and you know, she wasn't attractive. But neither was I. But I had no prospects. And working at Jack in the Box, I was like overweight. I was probably 250 pounds or more. I was driving this piece of shit car. Like, no one was going out with me. I did not have any prospects. I had no girlfriend. And so when I met my ex-wife at the time, I latched onto her. Like, I was like, oh my God, this woman thinks I'm amazing. I'm never going to let her go. You know? And so the thing is that I remember being in that Blockbuster and this girl telling me, I always thought you were cute, but I was afraid that if I told anybody I liked you, they'd make fun of me because you were so weird. I was like, well, why was I weird? You know, but I was like, and when you watch these movies where you see the goth kid, the metal stoner kid, whatever, they're always cool, you know. In the movie, they're cool. But in reality, no one's paying any attention to them. I had no friends in school. I hated every minute of school. I only went to school because I legally had to go. The minute I turned 16, I quit. I left. I dropped out, and I went and got the job at Jack in the Box. But anyway, I just worked my ass off. I just worked every hour that I could. And on the weekends, I sold surplus electronics at like I would, work all day or all night. I'd get some sleep in my car. Thankfully, the one thing I had was a car. But it was a piece of shit car. It didn't have any air conditioning. I got bullied a little bit, but I didn't get bullied too badly just because I was huge. You know. But the seniors were also huge, you know. So I'd like to believe I was invisible, but so many people remember me. Oh, I remember when I was at Amon Carter. I joined home ec. Home economics. The only reason I joined home ec was because you got to bake cookies and shit, and then you got to eat them. I was like, what's home ec? They go, they teach you how to make brownies and stuff and how to sew and everything. It's for girls. I go, no, I'll do it. And there's a picture of me. If you go find, what is it, the 89 or 1990 Amon Carter book, you'll find the picture of me wearing a paper hat with the home ec class cooking something. I was like, oh, well, I just wanted to eat. I just wanted food. I was starving to death. You know, it's true. Like, I didn't have a car with air conditioning in it for like till I was well into my modern adults. So But yeah, I remember like I had to sew a little pillow together, and you know, 80s were fun times at Fort Worth. It was more like towards North Richland Hills and her. You know, I remember when I moved to Haltom City area, and I was like, man, I'm moving up in the world. Like, you go look at it, Haltom City now, it's like it's a dump. Like, I remember when like North Richland Hills, like that's where the rich people live, you know. Mrs. Nelson. Who was Mrs. Nelson? I wonder, was she like spelling, grammar? I wonder if I'm trying to remember. Or was that the home ec class? I don't remember that teacher. Says Bob, did you someone that took Ford Pintos? No, I've never had a Ford Pinto. I don't know anything about that. I talked about on my video yesterday how I used to apprentice. There was a TV VCR repair shop on Beach Street called Brock's TV and Repair, and my friend Bucky worked there, and he would let me come up there, and they would just teach me how to clean VCRs, how to take them apart, put them back together, and so I did it for free, They would buy me a sandwich or something, or once in a while they could throw me a few bucks. But I just was interested. I wanted to know how it worked. And so I would go to Radio Shack Outlet and I would buy a broken, tape deck or something, take it apart, figure out how to put it back together, and sell it to flea market. So what I was trying to say earlier, so I'm making $160 a week working at Jack in the Box. But if I could make $50 or $100 at the flea market, man, that was great money. You went to Carter Riverside for 3 days and got in a fight and kicked out for a year? Wow. So, I'm just trying to keep track of some of your comments. So, I was making about, probably about 800 to $1,000 a month, So I wasn't like rich, but this is early 90s money. Gas was like $1. You could eat for $1, 2 tacos for $1, get a quarter pounder for $1, Cece's Pizza, $3, all you can eat. Like I used to do shit like we take a backpack with some Tupperware in there, go to Pizza Inn, get the buffet, get a booth in the corner where nobody's looking, and, like put some pizza in the fucking... You worked at the Ponchos in Richland Plaza. The OG big one. That was a good one. That was a good Ponchos. Hell yeah. That was like the biggest, nicest one. But yeah. Well, looking back at my life now, if 15, 16-year-old Robbie met Video Bob today, I would think that I'm cool. And to me, that's the greatest thing. Would teenage me would want to take a picture with me, would want my autograph. Teenage me would think that I was the most amazing person he's ever met. And I know that's very narcissistic to say. But the humble kid that I was back then could have never in a gazillion years dreamed that he'd be living in Las Vegas with problems like, I don't have enough space to park all my cars. You know, like I can't park this Lamborghini outside. I got to park the Rolls Royce in this. I have 2 Rolls Royces, 2 Lamborghinis, 2 tour buses, 22 vehicles, something like that. Huge house with a pool, my own private wall, my own private gates. People go, "Do you live in a gated community?" I go, "Yes, it's my house." But my place is so big that routinely on a daily basis, I have to shoo away people who come because they think it's an apartment complex. Almost every day. Last night, guy pulled up, trying to get in my gate. I said, "Can I help you?" And he goes, I'm Uber Eats. I'm trying to deliver to apartment 4, whatever. And I go, "This is not the apartments." He goes, "Oh yeah, I see this." I go, "I literally had to erect a sign that says this is not the apartments because this happens so often." It's like every day, just about, I deal with this.
Hello? Hello?
Yeah, I was like, "Sir, you have the wrong house. You have the wrong place." And they look around. They're like, "This is a house?" And I'm like, "Yes, this is my house." They're like, "Nobody believes it's my house." They go, "Why is it so big?" "Because I'm fucking rich." No, because it's a big place. I don't know. It's built in 1965, you know, and it's, or, you know, they built shit big back then. I don't know what to do. It looks like it's, you know, the first time I came here, I was like, "What the fuck is this place?" It's gigantic. Every time somebody comes over here, they go, "This whole place is yours? The whole thing?" I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Even that back there, those buildings back there?" I go, "Yeah, that's where I keep some of the cars." And they're like, "Wow." And I go, "Yeah, wow. It's awesome, right?" You wouldn't know it, but there's herds of cats back there. Just roaming the fields. I definitely got lucky on this deal, and there's no doubt about it. I'll never, ever sell this place. No, I'm not rich, but I just have no bills, you know. But I just, when I think back, when I try to put myself back in Riverside back then, you know, it makes me want to cry. Actually, I get kind of emotional. It's hard to believe it. Like when I go back and I look at the house one of the houses I live in, and I just go, did I really live that, or was that just a movie? You know? I'm like, I remember going to see that before we moved to Fort Worth in 1987 when we lived in Denver. I remember we lived at this house in Denver, and I was on a motorcycle trip up to Sturgis, and I went through Denver. And I stopped. I remember the address. I'm trying to think. Let me see if I can't pull it up. And I'll give you the address, and you could go look at the house. I want to say it's like 804. I'm trying to remember. Oh, wait. Yeah. It's in Denver, Colorado. It's called South of Rain. Let me see. Wait, is that it? Why is it blocked out? Let me see here. Hold on. I just remember. Let me see. Maybe it's gone. Wow, wait a minute. I think, oh, there it is. There it is. 840. So it's 840. It looks nice, actually. They fixed it up a lot. 840 South Vrain. But this is a duplex. Oh my God, it's so tiny. So it's 840 South Vrain in Denver, Colorado. Now, this is the house we were living in right before we moved to Texas. So this was 85, 86. Let me see if I can, how do I get back to the satellite view? Nope, hold on. Anyway, the point is I remember being on this trip, and I remember I pulled up and I saw it, and I burst into tears. I couldn't control myself. I just started crying, you know. Because it's so tiny. And this is before they fixed it up. Oh yeah, there's the alley. And it all came back to me, you know, like, and I don't know why I have this memory, but I remember the kid that lived next to me in the White House to the right had a VCR. And I remember seeing the original Terminator from 1984 at his house over there. But I used to sit on that porch and play and in this little yard. And this is when my mother was married to the American Indian guy. I can't see your comments because I'm over here on Google Maps. I'll come back here. But hold on, I'll copy this. It's not a good memory. It's a terrible memory. I showed the duplex on my channel. I don't know if I showed this one, but maybe. This thing was tiny. Here's some memories from living there. My mom was married to this American Indian guy. He was an alcoholic. I remember once, you know, around the back of the house was a emergency cellar, and you could lift up this lid and go under the house. I remember he put me under the house and latched me in the cellar down there, so I couldn't get out. So he went to the bar and went drinking, and I just had to sit under there for 4 or 5 hours. Yeah. I remember, I've told the story about the Snoopy snow cone machine. I had a Snoopy snow cone machine. And there was a park. If you look at the map here, it's called Westwood Park. And there's I don't know if it's still there, but they had a baseball field there. I don't know if it's still there. But I used to go to that park, and I remember there was like a little pizza place or something right over there, and I got some ice from them. I wonder what of this still exists. It looks like it's been all redone. But I remember they used to have like baseball games there. And I went there, and I don't know, I made about $5 worth of nickels and dimes selling little snow cones that I was selling. I was probably, 8 or something. How old was I in 1986? 12 or something. I don't know. So I came back home, and I had this baggie with nickels and dimes in it. And he took it from me, and he used it to go buy vodka. When my mom came home, I told her. I said, I went and made, $5 worth of nickels and dimes, and Jerry took it and spent it on vodka. And, of course, they got in a big fight. He hit me in the head with a frying pan. I remember one time he grabbed me by the head and he lifted me up and he yanked out a big chunk of my hair. And so there was a big chunk of hair missing. So my mom shaved my head to cover up the bald spot from where he ripped the hair out of my head. Yep. Oh my God, I just remembered right here. That's the backyard. Yeah. I had this friend who lived right around the corner. So this is West Ohio Street at 801. Let's see. Where did he live? No. That's not it. It was this one. It was 4830 West Ohio is the house. I was in his backyard and he had a pet chow, and that chow bit me on the leg, and I still have a giant scar on the back of my leg. I remember that like it was yesterday. I remember riding my bike back home bleeding all the way. I have a lot of memories of this neighborhood. None of them good. The only good memory I have about this living in this neighborhood is I went to the school right up the street here. Looks like it was on Utica Street. And I remember seeing Back to the Future on VHS tape one day at school. I remember that. I haven't been looking at your comments because I was looking at the map. No, I don't have any kids. But yeah, when I think about it, that's when I was really young. So within about a year's time, I had 2 different dog bite encounters in Denver, Colorado. That was the second one. The first one happened when we were living in Arvada at Jerry's mother's house. Kid across the street had an Australian sheepdog, and that dog bit me in the face. See, right here, this scar here. I've explained that the reason my beard is the way it is that before I let it grow long, I grew the beard because I have a giant scar on both sides of my face from this dog that bit me in the face when I was like 10 or something. And it was in court for years. So probably about 1986, 1987, somewhere in there. About 87, I think it is. They finished the lawsuit, but they looked at our circumstances and they go, this money is to be used for plastic surgery when little Robbie is an adult. So we're going to put it in a trust. And it was like $15,000 or something like that. Don't forget, this is 1980s money, so that's a lot of money. And my mom pleaded with him to give, she convinced him that she was going to put me in this, acting school, because I wanted to go to acting school. And it was like $1,500 or something. Or whatever. She conned him into giving her like $1,500 of the dollars. And the rest of it went into a CD trust that I wasn't supposed to get till I was an adult. Something like that. Or I think I got it when I was 16. So, we got this money, and we used the money to move to Dallas or to Fort Worth. And that was in like 1987. Well, I left this part kind of out, is that I kind of forgot about it, I guess. About the same time I dropped out of high school and went to work at Jack in the Box, I'm trying to remember how this went. I had 2 different CD trusts. One of them was $10,000 and the other one was like $4,000. And the other one was like 4 thousand. 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 So when I was 16, I got like 4,000 of the money. Or rather, my mom got 4,000 of the money. And she let me buy this 82 Firebird, which was almost $2,000. It was $1,750. And then I had to fix the alternator on it and tires and stuff. And she basically blew the rest of it. And then later, they did release the $10,000. And basically, my mom spent it. You know? So I think I was 16. So what I got out of the deal was I got the Firebird and I got a camcorder, which changed my life. The reason I'm Video Bob today was like 1990, we went down to McDuff's, it was called. They didn't have Best Buy yet. We went to McDuff's and I spent $970 on an RCA camcorder. And that thing became my life. So here I was, poor, no money. I got a car, I got a camcorder. Yeah, when we moved out of Denver is when she left the Indian guy, Jerry. And so I remember when I was growing up, I remember I went back to Denver on my Harley looking for Jerry. I wanted to confront him as a grown man. I wanted to tower over him and bully him. I wanted to poke him in the chest and go, "What are you going to do now, motherfucker?" I probably would have, who knows what I would have did to him. But when I got there, I found out he had died years before. So I went to his grave and I pissed on his headstone. It was the least I could do. When I think about these stories, I don't believe that they're even real. I don't believe that they're even about me. Nobody would believe it. I can barely, it's like I've blocked out so much of this in my head that I forgot that it existed sometimes. I don't know why I never got into drugs and crime. To me, the greatest revenge is crawling into a Rolls Royce and cruising down Las Vegas Boulevard and going and getting a $200 steak while wearing a pair of $10,000 crocodile boots. So when my haters hate on me, I just go, you know, it was either this or prison. It was either this or heroin. It was either this. I mean, see, rather than punishing myself and beating myself up like so many other people do as a result, I punish myself with a gluttony. So it's like I have this giant chip on my shoulder to prove to everybody that I can do anything. But then I learned that it just, my own father, when I became, you know, when I got back in touch with my own real dad, my dad was jealous of me. My dad was like pissed off that I had a nicer house. He was like annoyed by it. Because nobody likes the winner. It's lonely at the top. You know? Nobody wants, like, jealousy is the worst kind of hate. And so for some reason I reveled in it. I was like the evil emperor in Star Wars. Like, yes, feed me your negativity. Yeah, the force grows stronger. I remember, when David Lee Roth left Van Halen, I remember watching. He's like, yeah, man, the best revenge is success. He's like, yeah, right now Van Halen guys are, they want to talk shit about me, but I'm over here with the #1 record, surrounded by hot girls, doing California Girls, doing Yankee Rose, and, or whatever. He's like doing all these great songs, right? I was like, yeah, man, yeah. So I guess part of the cycle is I look at the Lamborghini and I go, who gives a fuck? Well, do I need this? Do I really need to get, the smart ass comments from everybody? It's like, because it's like when you have something nice like that, that's ostentatious, people, they're like, oh, look at this fucking guy. He's got. Yeah. And, they're right. So I'm just like, okay, I'm over it now. I don't have anything to prove anymore. Because all the people I was trying to prove it to are dead. What fun is that? And ultimately, would it really make me feel any better to find Jerry the alcoholic, broke and homeless with cirrhosis of the liver, and go, hey, look at me, I have a Rolls Royce? He'd probably be happy for me, Because he was having his own problems. Everybody is trying to make it through the world fighting their own battle. And people can't figure out what to do. I don't know if it was genetics. I don't know if it was just the right mix of me, but I just was born smart. And I know you're not supposed to say that. But I just had shit figured out. I mean, I clearly remember, clear as day, being that kid looking at this alcoholic prick abusing me, like my second grade teacher who kept tickling my balls. And I went home and, I remember he was doing it at school, like he was touching me. And then he did it right in my house. He came to my house. I forget why he was at my house, to speak with my mom or whatever. But the phone rang. She was on the phone. And I'm making a bunch of noise. And she goes, stop making noise. And I go, well, tell him to stop tickling my balls. And she's like, what did you say? And she came over and I go, yeah, he does it all the time. He tickles my balls. And, and then he wasn't my teacher anymore. I was probably like 6, like first grade or something. Second grade, I don't know. I was never one of those people that was like, oh, I'm going to hide this, I would tell immediately. And so when Jerry the alcoholic would do dumb shit, as soon as my mom got home, even though I knew it was going to cause a huge fight, I would tell her right away. So he hated me because I would rat on him immediately. And then They'd get in a big fight. He'd go to jail. Then she'd bail him out. I can't tell you how many times I've seen the cops do a takedown of a guy in my living room, whether it was my brother or one of the guys my mom was with. She was married 7 times. I remember this guy, Joe Howell, that she was married to before Jerry, a white dude. He was a painter, house painter. I remember he got drunk. There was a big, huge fight. Police took him to jail in his underwear. That's when we were living in Colorado Springs at the time. But I remember that scene in my head, clear as day. And so when my real father came into the scene, I've talked about this, my real father came into the scene. See, my mom had lost custody of me to my dad when we were living in South Carolina, which is where I'm from, when I was like 3. So what she did was kidnap me and my brothers and just disappear, move in with her grandparents in Colorado Springs, and then just kept changing my name. Not my first name, but my last name. I've been Robbie Howell, Robbie Garrett, Robbie whatever. I've had different names, right? Like, matter of fact, when I was in school there at Amon Carter, I think I was still Robbie Garrett before I fully changed my name back to my father's original name of Mosley. Because that's why we were living on the Indian reservation with the Indian, because we were hiding out from the FBI who was chasing my mom down, trying to get me back to give back to my father. So when I started having a relationship with my father as a teenager, I would go spend summers with him and things. But before that, we were on like the run. So growing up throughout Colorado, I was Robbie Garrett. I was the adopted illegal name of the Indian guy, Gerald Garrett. Before that, I was Robbie Howell. You know, each of my brothers had a different name. My brother Doug, he was Doug Roberts. My brother Marty was also Marty Roberts, but he became Marty Garrett and died Marty Garrett, yeah. So he got adopted when I got adopted so that he could get Indian benefits. So the thing is that this was, you know, a crazy time for me. And but there was a period of time for a couple of years I had to live in foster homes. This was another element of my life. Oh, do I have a picture of my real father looks exactly like me. I don't know if I got a good picture of him, but like me and my dad look exactly alike. There's no denying. You don't need a DNA test. You just go, okay. If I showed you a picture of my dad, like at my age, it looks like me. You go, holy shit. I'd have to go find it for you. But, yeah, so for, a period of time, I was in foster homes. And that was a period of my life that's crazy. Because the state was trying to decide whether I should go back to my dad or if I should stay with my mom. My mom was a flight risk. See, I can't get this camera to focus. But that's a picture of my dad holding me as a baby. I'm probably 1. Let me see. It's a picture of my dad in his probably early 20s. Yeah. It's my great-grandfather, Levi. In his Confederate uniform, by the way. Like, here's a picture of me at Amon Carter Riverside. Probably 14. Look at this hair. I was unkept. Oof. Probably. Wow. That's me I'm probably 6, 7 right there. Always had those beady little eyes. See? It's another picture of me. This is a great picture. I'm showing this is the most 80s picture. I'm showing off. I'm wearing a Honeycomb Kids t-shirt while showing off my new Michael Jackson record. And wearing my 80s short shorts. It's like, it's so 83. This picture, I look like I'm right out of a J.C. Penney's catalog. It was at my grandparents' house. So, yeah, I mean, I've been through these crazy stages of life where I had different fathers, different families, lived in foster homes. They took us, we went and lived on this Indian reservation, hiding out from the law with this abusive, alcoholic Indian. Kid couldn't handle his firewater. Used to beat up on me. So all I knew is that when I was 16, I just wanted to get as far the hell away from my family as possible. Anybody that called themselves family is just... Even if they weren't bad to me, I just like, you know what? This family thing isn't working out for me too well. I need to be on my own. I need to get the hell out of here. So, listen, Thriller album was fire. What are you talking about? It's one of the, I think it's the biggest selling album of history. But yeah, man, I can remember, I could sit here and tell you so many stories. How did I get the photos? My grandparents had them, I think, and I got copies of them and things. My grandparents had their shit together. My grandfather was, I don't know if I'd say wealthy, but he owned an airplane and a boat, was retired. He was a jeweler. But he had learned that giving my mom money was not going to help her. My mom was always asking for money. So he was, he bought a brand new Cadillac every year. My grandpa didn't live long enough to get to see me now. I mean, he saw me married with a house and everything. But he was a hard ass. But he would be jealous of me. Maybe not jealous, but he just was one of these guys that he wasn't going to be impressed by anything. So, but they had their shit together. Looking back on things, I'm probably way more wealthy than he is. He ever was, but, people have said to me oh, you should write a book and you should write a book, but who the fuck would buy it? Nobody. I can only get a couple hundred of you all to watch me on this thing. I'm just being realistic. It's what am I going to sell, 12 copies? Nobody's going to buy a book about me. Who gives a shit? Everybody's got a story. Everybody's got it rough. Times are tough all over, as they say. I mean, I didn't turn into Elon Musk or anybody. I haven't done anything that significant. I just didn't end up in jail. I mean, I don't know. I don't feel like the things I've done are that significant. They're only significant if you compare to what could have been. And I have a lot of cool stories. I guess it just depends on where you are, where you've been, what you've done. And I realize how lucky I am that the average person really hasn't done shit. I was talking about this the other day. I said, the average person, they say everybody gets 15 minutes of fame. At some point you maybe you're in the paper, maybe you got on the news for a minute, you got interviewed, you got an award. But most people never get to taste any kind of fame. for the most part. They got acknowledged. They were Employee of the Month once or something. And I'm certainly not famous. I'm not saying I'm famous. But there's billions of people on the planet, and nobody knows who most of them are. And most people fit into that category. And I don't know. Listen, I've been on here for 2.5 hours, which is an hour and a half more than I planned on it. I want to get something to eat. I'm pretty hungry. So, it's like a therapy session for me. Hope you guys enjoyed listening to it. It's just too long, though. I've just been on here for too long. I'm tired. I need a break. I need to go take a piss. You know what I'm saying? I'm wore out. Anyway, I still gotta I still gotta make the video for today. I wanted to go to this chicken joint, but I think being Sunday, it's probably gonna be too late. Let's see. What are the hours? Well, it says open till 10. Or, yeah, we're open till 10. Well, hope everybody had a good time. Thanks for all the kind gifts. I appreciate it. The kiddies appreciate it. I don't know what else to say. I went so far deep into, what do they call that, regression, Like, I need time to decompress from all that. Oof. It took a lot out of me. All right, man. I'll catch you guys later.